But just like Louis XIV's fashion and home decor choices, haute cuisine, or cuisine in the grand style, was not only for the sake of wowing his entourage, it was also about the promulgation of French production. Hence, all the Eastern spices and exotic add-ins that had dominated the medieval palate were officially frowned upon, with the exception of black pepper, in favor of herbs grown in France like thyme, chives, scallions, and particularly parsley, which was called the French spice. Furthermore, the prejudice against fresh fruits and vegetables was officially conquered with early farm-to-table treatises published by Nicolas de Bonfons, who advocated the cultivation of home gardens. Louis XIV himself quickly followed suit, and his Potager du Roi, or Vegetable Garden of the King, can still be visited today. It was planted by Jean-Baptiste La Cantini, who ingeniously created a variety of microclimates so the king's taste for certain fruits and vegetables could be enjoyed out of season. The king would often observe the harvest work, and the product of his enormous vegetable garden was always a politically astute choice of conversation. Indeed, both his second wife, Madame de Maintenon, and the salon hostess, Madame de Sévigné, related in their memoirs that for a period of time, the only thing worth discussing at Versailles was the king's obsession for petits pois, or peas. Indeed, elegant simplicity in flavors became the name of the game in French haute cuisine, and in 1674, a professional chef who went by the initials LSR published L'Art du Bien Traité, or The Art of Fine Entertaining, which for the first time advocated perfectly curated but simple ingredients over an excessive demonstration of wealth and abundance that had until then usually crowded the tables of the upwardly mobile. In keeping with the style of La Varenne, LSR's new science of entertaining claimed that an exquisite choice of the freshest seasonal ingredients should be prepared in such a way as to not destroy their intrinsic flavor. Meat should be cooked rare, vegetables barely heated, all served in sauces of complementary flavors. But of course, this was a book on entertaining, and in it we find more than just the meal. In its pages, LSR laid out for the first time service à la française, or French service style, which meant that platters were set at the center of an artistically laid table from which the diners could serve themselves. In the mid-19th century, the French service style was replaced in France by the Russian service style, where the waiter or servant would stand behind the diner with a platter in order for them to serve themselves. The idea of the French service doesn't sound that complicated, but LSR's book made clear that there was no room for error. The French tablescape, like the French garden, was a matter of geometrical precision that demanded perfect symmetry and harmony at each step in the progression of the meal. Dress rehearsals were often performed to ensure the table setting would go off without a hitch and delight not only the gustatory but visual senses of all the guests. The expert traiteurs who wrote these compendia of rules were in fact setting the blueprint for the modern restaurant. To that end, it is clear that despite the claim to simplicity in cuisine, French eating behaviors still invoked measures of social conditioning. We should remember here that eating habits have to do with the control of collective and individual relationships to food. Eating is political. Just as a father or mother warns their child that they can only have dessert after they eat their broccoli, French culinary discourse, together with the church, regulated the sensuality of its population, manipulating and ordering the construction and serving apparatus of food in a way that would help order the personal lives of individuals and their communities. I think we may have all felt one time or another that little unease at fine dining establishments when we have just one utensil too many in front of us, or when great Aunt Mildred sighs in disgust as we dunk our dessert spoon into our bisque soup. Of course, we could just chase away our mortification with a flash of self-righteous anger, because what does it matter anyway? We just want to hang out and have our soup and not feel bad. Of course, there is some merit to that argument, but it could be a slippery slope. If cuisine is, as Priscilla Parkhurst put it, the code that structures the practice of food and allows us to discuss and to represent taste, then these details at the macro level help us to turn our individual approaches to food, which could tend to gluttony, into a collective bond that fosters social cohesion. Ultimately, Aunt Mildred, instead of grimacing in displeasure, of course could choose to create a bond with her young uncouth relative by giving a complicit wink or something like that, but in my opinion, this does not do away with the necessity for culinary rules, but rather demonstrates their subservience to the ultimate goal, community. Table manners then might be seriously considered as allies, and even necessary allies, on the road to civility.